Hi, I'm Suzy Royal, independent curator, and today I am here with Susie Kahlich, and we're going to be talking about her project, Pretty Deadly Self-Defense. First, I'd like to introduce Susie. We've actually known each other for quite some time. We were trying to figure this out, I think 5 years. Yeah, and we met not in the self-defense area, we met actually through the arts. I was working on an exhibition, and you were actually working on a podcast, The Artipus, is that? Yeah, and so I guess my point is how multi-talented you are. But today I want to talk to you more about the Pretty Deadly Self-Defense project. And maybe you can tell us to begin with how this project began and when it began.
Pretty Deadly was officially launched in Berlin in 2016, but I developed it in 2009 actually, originally for my mom as a test subject, but it was an idea that I had been working on. The project came about because I'm a survivor of a violent crime. That experience sort of, I don't want to say pushed me directly into martial arts, but I sought out martial arts directly afterwards as a way to feel like I would have a better result if I trained my body to move in a way that's both natural and really devastating. Should anything like that ever happen to me again. While I was training martial arts, in the first couple of years, my teacher, who I just want to say I love him very much, he's given me everything. He also had a self-defense class for women, and I had been asking myself, like, why didn't I take self-defense? And why don't women take self-defense? Even though I know him well enough to know that he sincerely wanted women to learn how to use their bodies to protect themselves, his approach was the traditional approach of fear, of encouraging us to tap into our female rage, of fighting back, and all these things that, from a woman's perspective, isn't actually realistic. The techniques could be realistic, but the approach is what was lacking. We don't learn how to use our bodies in that way because it's never presented in a way that is appealing, that is presented in a way like something we could actually do, and it's never ever presented in a way that could be fun. Right? I think you learn more when you're laughing than when you're crying. Or maybe you learn the same, I don't know, but you're probably gonna remember more. You know, if you have a positive experience as opposed to a negative experience. That's how it came about, is I realized that there was this sort of gap between what people wanted to deliver and the way they were delivering it. So I created Pretty Deadly to focus on the specific way that women learn and the things that we are really confronted with. Because it's not all, you know, like some big scary stranger is going to pop out of the bushes and rape you or murder you. It's the microaggressions on the street. It's the gaslighting at work. It's the little things that we're confronted with every single day, as well as the big things. Yeah, and I'm sure that a man could be effective at teaching the class as well, but for me it's very appealing that it's women teaching this class, and maybe women using their own personal experiences, like you said, these microaggressions. There's a term that I just learned, it's been around, but I only just learned it, called harm reduction. And that's usually applied to people who are dealing with addiction of illegal substances, alcohol addiction, or basically around addiction. But it's really, really applicable to trauma as well. And so what it means is that when you have the tools to handle situations as they come up, you reduce your risk of having a traumatic experience. When we experience a trauma from, like, you know, a car crash or a pandemic, you know, things that we have no control over, that's one thing. But when it's trauma that's visited upon you by someone else's choice, that's what Pretty Deadly exists for, because I don't like the idea of someone else choosing for me what the path of my life will be.
Sure, yeah. And what am I going to sort of experience or expect? Do I need experience, previous experience with martial arts or anything like this?
Pretty Deadly takes movements that we do every day, so we already have the muscle memory, and we reapply those to self-defense situations. So you don't need to be fit, you don't need to be a martial artist, you don't even need to be coordinated. So remember I said I originally developed this for my mom, who at the time was 67, she was overweight, she was an avid smoker, she was unbelievably stubborn, and she was really uncoordinated. She was my ideal test subject.
Yeah.
So, and she did it. She could do it, and she felt stronger, and she felt much more confident. We want people to train in the clothes you normally wear. We want you to make positive associations with self-defense techniques. So we don't use words like punch and kick. We relate these things to movements you do every day that are non-violent. A spacemaker move that we use is called a cup of coffee. You give a friend a cup of coffee. There's nothing threatening about that. There's nothing negative about it. There's nothing where it's like, oh, I might hurt. I don't want to hurt somebody else. I don't want to hurt myself. It's just a cup of coffee. That's all it is. You already know how to do it. It looks like this.
Okay, interesting. And have you trained men as well, or And is that different? How does that?
It's different in the terms that we use. So, for example, when we have a course with women, we teach an elbow strike that we call putting your hair behind your ears. Most men don't grow up doing this particular gesture, so we change that to just putting your sunglasses on. And we do have a male trainer. He's in Hanover. But the wonderful thing about having a male trainer when men teach the course or when men take the course is they also get an experience of what life is actually like for people who don't have that privilege of safety. So they also get a little bit of empathy in there as well, which is, I think, a benefit for everybody.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you how the whole COVID crisis, what's going on with Corona, how has that affected your business? How has that changed what's going on with you and your trainers?
COVID has been, it's really disingenuous to say it's been a challenge, because who hasn't it been a challenge for? COVID, though, kind of confronted me with a really interesting challenge, which was, can you teach self-defense online? So one of the best things that I've learned from my journey in martial arts is adaptability. That adaptability also requires inventiveness and innovation and creativity. And it was exciting to put all those things together to see, can we teach it online? That's also partly where my art background comes in. So we pivoted to online courses, which has been kind of thrilling, actually, because we've gotten to reach people, like as far away as Tokyo. It's been fun. It's a challenge to convince people, can you learn self-defense by yourself online with stuff around the house? And yes, you can. It's not the same as training in person, obviously.
But maybe it's a good start also to get people to try it at home for when things open up and they can take the class from you. Exactly.
It's a great start, and you have those movements, and you have the idea behind it, and you have the movements in your own body behind it. So while we're waiting for things to open up, you know that you have a basis of knowledge.
And your classes are going to be starting up really soon outside here in Berlin.
Yeah, so classes will be starting soon. You need to have a negative test. You do need to be masked through the entire training. We can't avoid making contact with each other when we're learning self-defense. But we can be as distant and as safe as possible, and partly through the pre-testing, rapid testing. We have an app, and we are encouraging people to use our mobile app.
And I think it's a time right now that we're all sort of craving connections with people. And so this seems like a nice way to come together as a group to sort of talk about what's going on, to learn something new, meet new people in this outdoor safe environment.
I also think somebody in one of the Paris classes pointed out that she found Pretty Deadly to be a great thing to do on a Friday night. So because for people who don't, well, and right now we can't go out to the clubs, we can't go out to bars, and also for people who don't want to do those things and are looking for alternatives to meet other people in their community, to expand their social networks, they found Pretty Deadly to be a really great outlet for that. So we do have a class that will start on Friday nights. We have another one on Tuesday nights. So, and it's just a great way to build a new community. And our Pretty Deadly members have gone on to make connections with each other and build some really great things together, which is really exciting to see. So,
great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for giving Spend It Forward the time for the interview, and I'm really happy that you can now get a certificate for one of the classes on Spend It Forward.
Yes, and Spend It Forward is so much of what Pretty Deadly is about. I mean, I'm also spending my experience forward, and we're hoping that everyone else does that too. So it's the perfect fit as far as I'm concerned.
Great. Well, that's why I thought of you. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.